Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another one of our weekly Bofuri discussion videos. And today we are here to talk all about episode 8, but before we get into things proper, I do, as always, have to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At BubbleLubber, at Sirius9752, at Matt87Eagle, at Family of BTS, at DXAna, at Dragon Kid TV, and at Janime. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, everybody, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Bofuri video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so let's go ahead and dig into this week's episode. There are two things that sort of piqued my interest in this week's episode, and I'm sure they also piqued your interest as well, since one was really interesting, and the other one was really grim. Let's go ahead and talk about the grim one first. Let's go ahead and talk about atrocity. So this whole issue, right, and it's becoming, I don't want to say a problem with the show, it's just something that I've been noticing, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know how I feel about that, and that's the fact that, like, in this episode, when Maple gets the atrocity skill, it comes kind of at the cost of seeing Mapletree actually partake in the third event, which is something I was actually looking forward to seeing, since it would have been like, I was excited to see like Mapletree functioning as a guild, seeing everybody like party up as one big guild and go out and attack. We did see this with what do they call, like the Fire Empire or the Fire Empress Me or whatever her guild is called. We see them actually working as a unit, which is cool. We don't, however, see Mapletree working as a unit, and they do pay for it, because at the end of the event, we find out that the other two guilds that we're aware of placed in the top 2, but we don't know where Mapletree placed. I don't even know if they placed 3rd, to be totally honest. It's, I don't know, it's a bit of a missed opportunity in my opinion, and it's something that I hope the show doesn't continue to do, and that's focused too much on Maple at the detriment of Mapletree. And I don't know if the novels do that. I don't really care if the novels do that. You guys know me, I'm an anime guy. I don't really care about the source material, because an anime is a translation, you know, it's like, it's transferring it from one medium into the other. Whatever the previous medium was trying to do, you have to change that once you adapt something. Adapt or die. So, in my opinion, I don't care what the light novel did, I care about what the show was doing. So if if it was a problem in the light novel too, well then it's a problem over here. Like, I don't really care. I only care what the show was doing. And if the show continues to do this, I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed. And the thing too is, I've been seeing comments saying like, that's weird, they cut this like thing from Mapletree. Like they cut like Chrome, who I've been pronouncing as Kuromu, because I'm a huge weeb and didn't realize that it was katakana. What an idiot. But like stuff with Chrome was cut, and instead we got extra scenes with Maple last week. And now this week, we totally skip over Mapletree like having fun and being a guild, so that we can focus on a solo adventure with Maple. And again, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because we like Maple. I like Maple, at least, and so I'm not, like, disappointed. It's just like, oh, okay, I would have liked to have seen more of Mapletree this week than the amount of Maple that we got, because Maple is, like, she's the main character, so, and she's the star of the show. But I want to see more from Mapletree. You've established that Mapletree is very important, and we're not spending a whole lot of time there. Not that atrocity is not worth seeing, because it's friggin' cool. And again, it's okay. So last week, Maple got the abilities of an angel. This week, she takes on a demon with the help of Syrup, and it's I'm pretty sure both times now, Maple has relied on Syrup to the point where, like, if Syrup wasn't there, she actually would have had a real fight on her hands. And so I like that. I like that they're establishing that Maple's tough as nails, but she does rely on Syrup as well. Syrup is now, like, Maple and Syrup are the team, you know? And it's nice to see that. And it's cool to see Maple not only take down a demon by herself, well, not by herself, with Syrup, rather. But it's cool to see this ability that she absorbs, that being atrocity. And I love the way the guild reacts to atrocity, because that's the way that I would react, because that thing is unbelievably spooky and freaky looking, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, I don't even know. It kind of looks like a giant kaiju. Honestly, we get sort of like two new forms for Maple. One is like a kaiju and one is like a transformer kind of a thing. It's like a magical girl techno thing. We'll get there. But yeah, this one is this freaky looking kaiju thing. And it's dope, but man, is it ever like creepy and grim and like but the thing is though, the show is meant to be this sort of like light, almost comedy adventure. And it so works in the scene where they take down the level 3 boss, because when Maple uses atrocity, the fun, upbeat music is still playing when this creepy monster is on screen eating and beating the hell out of the level 3 monster, and then it talks like Maple, just with like more bass. It's really, really funny. And again, do I wish that we spent more time with Maple Tree and the third event? Yeah, definitely. But we did get atrocity out of it, so I'm not gonna complain. The other thing I'd like to bring up this week is that we actually get to see level 3. And not only is it the aesthetic that you love to see, but we actually get some lore on top of that as well. I was really, really happy about that. You guys may remember a few weeks ago that I had said that I would love to see some of the lore of the game. I'm one of those dudes who, like, I'll read all the flavor text in a game just because I really like to see that kind of stuff. And Bofuri is not letting me down there. Like, we actually do get some decent tidbits of lore, and I genuinely think the lore in the level 3 area is genuinely really interesting. But before we get there, I do want to point out the aesthetic choice, that being the sort of clockwork, steampunk-ish sort of motif going on. The only reason why I don't want to say it's specifically steampunk is because we don't see a lot of steampunk outfits. We haven't really seen much of the NPCs in the town yet, so until we see them decked out in the typical steampunk garb, I'm going to say that this is more of a clockwork aesthetic. Lots of gears and machinery, that kind of thing. There is a lot of steam, though. there is a lot of steam and fog, so it does have the vibe of steampunk, but I need to see the Victorian attire before I give it the okay. But again, the aesthetic is really great. I love clockwork and steampunk stuff. Easily, like, if you just want me to immediately like a setting, set it clockwork or steampunk, and I will dig it. And it looks really dope. I love the just the whole fact that the city is like spinning gears and stuff. They do that a lot in Galar now, like in the new Pokemon game, and keep Pokemon in your head because we're going to be talking about it again in just a sec. I would say that of the 3 levels we have seen so far, level 1 is still my favorite, but this is easily my new second favorite. Level 2 was a little too, like, generic with the gemstone stuff. Like, it's like, Jeweler Richard would dig level 2, but it didn't, like, it didn't jump on that opportunity as much as I feel like level 1 really jumped on the opportunity of, like, everything is cute and fun because this is the starting level. Level 3 feels more like grand and intense and grandiose with like the giant gears, and it feels like you've come a really long way from level 1. Level 2 just felt like a weird in-between. I don't really get what they were going for with the stone and gem aesthetic. They didn't really nail it as much as they do here in level 3. And what level 3 actually has over the other 2 levels is the fact that we actually get some decent amount of lore. We find this old man who Maple is kind enough to give like some water and bread to, and it's not a player, it's an NPC. And we definitely know it's an NPC because they start repeating their dialogue after Maple's talking to them, and it's like, oh, okay, that's all you say at the end of the quest line. Okay, cool. And it's neat because basically the old man explains that there was a first generation when they stumbled upon this city. The people of this city, when they came here, there was machines. Sorry, anytime I say machines, I have to do the Morpheus thing. But it's interesting how they stumble across the city and there's machines there. The first generation of machines, and the machine god who imbued the machines with power, and nobody really knew how the machines worked. And in the center of the building was where they all were. And then one day, I can't remember if the old man said that he left and came back, or if he just woke up one day. I don't remember what it was. I didn't write it down because I am a fool. But what I thought was really interesting is the old man says one day this second generation of machine shows up, and the old generation of machine is just gone, and nobody seemed to remember it. Nobody really talks about the first generation of machine anymore, and it's sort of sad. And I was like, that's interesting. And then Maple, being Maple, stumbles across this interesting, like, again, it seemed like a secret quest line, like a really like rare quest line. And she stumbles across this, what do they call it? Like the graveyard of dreams or something like that. And she stumbles across the machine god from the first generation. And he's sitting in this chair and he's fallen apart. And he's, early on in the episode, Maple finds this like gear thing. And basically because Maple found the gear thing, it turns the machine god back on. And he is old and broken and sad, and he basically becomes this big bad that Maple has to fight in a weirdly like Dragon Ball Super looking like battle. And I don't mean that as a knock. Dragon Ball Super has like some dope fight scenes in it once you get past the recap arcs. But it's, yeah, it reminded me of like some of the better Tournament of Power like animation, so I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And it was kind of sad, because the machine god basically says, like, you have to destroy the me that once was, like this shell that is left behind. And it's this sort of sad little concept of just machines having to serve a purpose, and once that purpose is fulfilled, they just sort of become junk, because the god of machines even refers to himself now as just a god of junk. And that kind of broke my heart. And it was subtle lore. It was lore akin to Pokemon. Like, you know how some of the Pokemon games will give you lore if you go looking? Like, if you go looking for lore, you'll find it. And it's almost sort of melancholic. Like, a lot of Pokemon games, if you dig deep, have this sort of melancholic lore to them. And I thought that the way that they handled it here was really solid. It felt like the devs were working some stuff out. But I really, really dug it. And we also get another form for Maple, and that, again, I'm just thinking, does Maple need 3 forms? Don't get me wrong, it's cool looking, I guess. My girl's showing a little too much skin for me, where I'm like, no, you're more like a Dotaru. I don't like that. But it was like, I don't know. It's neat. It's my least favorite, and I honestly think giving her this many forms kind of hurts Angel Maple. You know, I was like, just one form, I don't know. People, I'm not surprised by it though, because people were cool enough to be like, hey, just as a heads up, this isn't her final form. Like, I know you're making the joke, but it's like actually not her final form, just giving you a heads up. So I appreciate the heads up. So, because I went into this one going like, okay, yeah, I am like prepared for it. With that said, everybody, I'm going to wrap up my thoughts here. Overall, I'd say that this episode is a lot like a sort of fruit blend tea. A lot of different flavors mixing together to make something pretty interesting. And with that said, that is a wrap on today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then go ahead and hit that like button, maybe even consider sharing the video around on the internet, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and see more content from me. And if you do, be sure to click on that bell icon so that you'll know immediately when a new video of mine comes out, and if you want to go above and beyond, then consider checking out our Teespring store and grabbing yourself a mug, or checking out our Patreon page, which really helps support the channel. And speaking of our Patreon page, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who support the channel over on Patreon. Andrew W., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Marshall B., Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., Sakochi, Tristan G., and Veridin. A huge thank you to all of you who support this channel over on Patreon, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the link in the description to check out our Patreon page and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. And with all that said, I want to once again thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.